doing the work, praying that they'd be able to get it done, be able to help the church advance. It's an old building, and it's a lot of tedious work, I guess. But if we would be able to pray about that, pray for the Smoots and the others that were involved in that plane accident. And then when Brother John comes up to be able to sing, then we'll continue on with the service.
right, go ahead and grab your hymn books one more time this evening. We'll turn over to page number 349, and you can remain seated for this one. Do you want them now or after the song? Right now? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and we will dismiss all those who would like to go to the singles class this evening. You are dismissed at this particular moment in time. It is time for you to go. All right, the rest of us, we can turn to page number 349, and we'll sing all three verses of Where He Leads, I'll Follow. Sweet are the promises, kind is the word, dearer far than any message man ever heard. Pure was the mind of Christ, sinless I see. He the great example is and pattern for me. Where He leads I'll follow, follow all the way. Where He leads I'll follow, follow Jesus every day. Sweet is the tender love Jesus has shown, sweeter far than any love that mortals have known. Kind to the erring one, faithful is He. He the great example is and pattern for me. Where He leads I'll follow, follow all the way. Where He leads I'll follow, follow Jesus every day. List to His loving words, come unto me. Weary, heavy laden, there is sweet rest for thee. Trust in His promises, faithful and sure. Lean upon the Savior and thy soul is secure. Where He leads I'll follow, follow all the way. Where He leads I'll follow, follow Jesus every day. Great singing. All right, and tonight we will have Sarah Donath. She'll sing our special for us.
There are moments on our journey following the Lord when God illumines every step we take. There are times when circumstances make perfect sense to us as we try to understand each move He makes. When the path grows dim and our questions have no answers, turn to Him. Bow the knee, trust the heart of your Father when the answer goes beyond what you can see. Bow the knee, lift your eyes toward heaven and believe the one who holds eternity. And when you don't
So Brother Lou attacked me. Can you guys hear me? You guys hear me? All right. It's not coming through the monitor, so that's okay. Brother Lou caught me on Sunday evening. He says, I've been really praying about it, and you want to preach Wednesday? I said, yeah. Whatever you want. I said, whatever you want, Pastor Lou. I'll do whatever you want, And I've been having something on my mind for quite a while. I don't know if this is why it's been on my mind. Of course, I looked at my schedule and I had everything, I just had everything lined up, which this is Jessica, how it goes with Brother Lou. I'm sure his is the same way. Well, worse. I'm sure his is worse. So I only had a few hours to prepare, so I was kind of glad that I already had this topic on my mind. And yesterday I sat down and I was looking through my Bible for different verses and references and trying to figure out how to explain this topic and how to show the importance of it. Now, there's a couple verses in the Bible that point to it to show you how important it is, but I never really contrasted the examples. What is it? How important really is it? And that topic is vision. How important is having a vision in your Christian walk or even in your personal walk? How important is that? And you can ask that, and to put it in a visual sense, you're sitting in it, right? This was Pastor Lou Sr.'s vision, right? However many years ago, I was looking for Brother Gary. I don't see him in here. There he is. How you guys walked this? How many years ago? Before this, 20 years ago? 7 years before we bought it. Okay, so 10 years ago, right? So 10 years ago, they walked this, and Pastor had a vision. And his vision was to turn this into a building. Turn this into a building. Turn this into a church. It was a building. This was a Tops, for anyone who doesn't know, right? And, when he had that, everyone was like, oh, yeah. Oh, yay, right? We were a little church and country church, and then, we kept trying to, we knew we were going to build. We knew where we were going to go. Why? Why? Because we had a vision. What I thought was crazy was that God brought that thing full circle, right back to the point of its origins, right back to the beginning. Now, you can look at in a lot. Just look in the world today, right? Look in the world today. Now, the world uses a different term. They use dreaming, right? You got to dream, right? You got a goal, right? But if you look at any major sports player, any millionaire, any successful businessman, what do they have? They had a dream or a goal, right? All that is just they use the biblical concept to get where they're going, to get where they went. It's very, very important to have a goal, dream in the world, right? And a vision for us, right? And I was really trying to wrap my mind around it. And to be successful in anything, you need a vision. I mean, look at our building project. Look at where this church has come, right? Our vision from Pastor Lou Sr. was, this is what we want. This is where I believe God's leading us. This is where I believe God's vision for our church is taking us. If you could turn down the monitors a little bit, Levi, they're starting to ring on me. That's where it's taking us, right? And when Brother Lou Jr. took over, it was, okay, fill it up. New vision, we're done building, fill it up. Right? And that's where we're at now. We're in a ministry vision, right? We need to soul win. We need to pack this place out. We need to run our bus ministries the best way we can. Our ministries, we need to have a vision of, hey, where am I going personally? But what if you don't have a vision? Here, we'll turn to probably the most famous verse on vision, which is just Proverbs 29:18. And you're like, well, if it's so famous, why don't you recite it? And that's because when you're nervous, your brain just goes blank. So, sorry. Proverbs 29:18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. So remember, I was telling you before. I've been this concept has been on my mind for a while because I've been really thinking about my life and kind of where am I going? Where do I want it to take me? And I seen this verse. I'm like, okay, where there is no vision, the people perish. Well, if you turn to Lamentations 2, chapter 2, verse 9 and 10. Her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed and broken her bars. Her king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from the Lord. The elders and the daughter of Zion sit upon the ground and keep silence. They have cast up dust upon their heads. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. Their virgins of Jerusalem hang down their heads to the ground. So remember we were talking about, without a vision, the people perish. Here's a pretty good example. This is what, there is no vision in this time. There is no vision from God. That says right there in verse 8. I'm sorry, in verse 9. Her prophets also have no vision from the Lord. The Israelite people had nowhere to go. They had no idea what was the next step. They had no idea. Where do we go from here? Now, if you study this out, this was a horrible, horrible time for them. They were being slaughtered. They were starving to death. They were being enslaved, overrun. I mean, you name it, this was happening to these people. And they had no vision. They didn't know where they're going. The Lord had just stopped talking. What a horrible place to be. You think God was saying at this, I mean, just even think in a physical sense. You think having a vision would have changed a few things? Maybe saved a few lives? Now, I mean, this was, they're reaping what they sowed in this book. But you think if God, even in that time, even in that time, do you think things would have been better? You know what they say when you have a vision? Don't look at the now, look at where you're going. Because when you're halfway through a vision, or even usually when you start, right? Look at when we started the building project. Not even. Let's rewind and start before we found this building. You guys remember, the ones that were here? It was brutal. For those that weren't, we had bought some property down on Hickox, which was just down the road from us. We were going to build this big, beautiful church. We were all excited, and we got flack from everywhere. We got flack from the town. We got flack from the neighbors. We got flack from the lawyers from the neighbors. We got just everybody, right? There was petitions. We were like, my goodness, it's a church. Like, you would think people would be happy. Like, your property value is going to go up, you know? Like, my goodness, people, it's a church. But it just kept getting driven and driven and driven down in the ground. What if Pastor Lou would have kept his eyes on the circumstance instead of the vision? Where would we be? Would we be here? I would say not. No. But he didn't look at the circumstance. He didn't look at where he was. He looked at where he was going. Right? Look at what happened through the building project. Some things happened in the church that were unsettling. Some people moved on. But again, what happened? What happened? We're here, right? Pastor kept his eye on the vision and not the circumstance. That's a very, very important point of when you decide, hey, you know what? I have a vision for my life that I believe is from the Lord. The Lord, I believe, I prayed about it, and this is where God's having me. Talked to my pastor about it. This is where I think he's leading me to go. Well, guess what? Circumstances are going to change. That doesn't mean the vision's wrong. That doesn't mean the vision's wrong. You know, there's a quote, it cracks me up every time I think of it. And success is just managed frustration. And he who is the most successful just manages the most frustration. Right? And I was cracking up because you can see that in our Christian walks. As we manage frustration, we become more successful in God's plan for us. You know, when we're told that we're taught like God's the potter and we're the clay, right? When you get that thing moving, the potter's wheel, and he starts forming that clay, there's some friction. You know, it's best to be as moldable as possible at that point, just for your guys' reference. You don't want to be stiff and hard when he starts to mold you. But there's going to be some heat. There's going to be some friction. God's molding you into that plan, into what he has for you, into that vision. You don't think it's going to take some change? And you know what? Sometimes you may not like the change. You may not like the circumstances that you're in at that moment. They may hurt, but keep your eye on the vision, and it will make the circumstances so much easier to bear. Realize that you're not going to have the vision, you're not going to have the success that God has planned for you without going through some things. I love it. We have, I've had a few friends that start a personal business or start a business, and you know what? They're all excited. They're going to do it. They're going to go out in the world, and they're going to make $1 million. And then, I don't know, that was hard. I don't want to do that. Like, that dude was mean to me. It's like, what happened to $1 million, man? Are you serious? They're not all going to be nice, bro. I mean, geez, they're going to be mean, right? But that's business. We say it's just business, right? But that's the world. It's hard. It's tough. Success is hard. Finding and chasing for a vision is hard. Do you know what's easy, though? Being lazy. It's as easy as it gets. It's comfortable. I'm telling you what, if you love being in the rut of life, you were born in the right time in history. We have never made it so easy to be stuck in a rut than in today's world. And in times before, hey, you didn't have a vision, what does it say? It said you perished. Right? Now if you don't have a vision, we'll give you a paycheck anyway. Right? And if now you don't have a vision, we'll raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Right? And that'll make everything better. So that way you don't need a vision. You don't need a vision when you have legislation. Right? Right? Now I'm not preaching politics. I shouldn't even be saying that. But it's true. It's true. It is so much harder now, today, to kick yourself in the rear end and go, listen, I got a vision. I know where I'm supposed to go. I know what God's plan is for me, and I know that I'm going that way no matter what. I'm not going to be comfortable. I'm not going to sit still. I'm not going to turn the TV on. You want to hear an interesting fact? The average home in America has their TV on for 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day? The average home. That's not the above average home. That's the average home. So I can't even imagine what the above average home is. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine that? My goodness. Where are we going? So we looked in Lamentation. We've seen the consequence. We've seen that. That is the end result of not having a vision. But let's make it personal. What would you do if you're in a Sunday school class? What vision do you have for your Sunday school class? Brother B.A., what vision do you have for the bus ministry? Ben, Bethany, what vision do you have for bus 3? Right? That is your bus still, right? Okay. Brother George is bus 2. You're bus 1, right? Yeah. Do they have visions for their thing? And they do. I want to fill them up. I want to teach these kids, right? I have the junior boys. My vision was when I came into them, and it's funny, and Brother Landau, you can attest to this, I told them, what did I do? I'm here to train men, not little boys. That's what I told them. And I've noticed, it just hit me that the past past few weeks has been leadership and how to act like a man and how to be successful and how to lead men and how, and I'm laughing to myself because in the beginning I set the standard of I want to train men because I look out into the era of my age and I don't see a lot of men. I don't see a lot, and it's so sad. It's so sad. I was dealing with I was helping a young lady, and she was telling me about how she's pregnant, and the father said, you know what? I don't want to work things out. I'm just gonna I'm going to sign off. I'll sign over all my rights. And she said, well, why is that? He goes, well, I don't want to pay child support. I'm like, by the way, he still has to pay child support, so you're okay. Go to the state, get your paperwork. But I'm like it just dawned on me, like, where have we come? To the point where we are so lax on our vision as parents and as leaders that's what we're producing. It's so sad. It's so sad. So when I came into the class, I'm like, you know what? I want to help these guys. So when they come out of this thing, they can get a job. They know how to sit up straight. They know that if they wear a shirt and a tie, they're 10 times more likely to get hired, right? On top of knowing their Bible. Because if they have morals and they're a Christian, who knows how many more times likely they are to get hired, right? That's my vision, right? What's Pastor Lou's vision? Souls. We got to fill this place up, right? We built it. Now we got to pack it out, right? And then you know what the vision is after that? That wall behind me, right? Gets blown out. If you guys don't know, there's a side bigger than this side over there, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. We got a 2-part vision with this. Part 1, little one. Part 2, it all, right? We want to buy the land behind us, develop that, right? We got all these things, little pokers in the fire, right? But that's what we need to have. That's having a life. Moving forward is living. Standing still, the Bible says it's hot or cold with the Lord. He said there's either you got a vision or you don't. And that's it. We can even hit home with this. In which area am I going to get involved? Set a vision like this. Where am I going to be at the end of next year in Old Time Baptist Church? How am I going to get involved? Ask. Seek it out. Trust me, there's plenty of places. Plenty of places. Where do I want my marriage? What do I want my marriage to look like by the end of next year? Or future marriage? What do I want that to look like? Where do I want it to be? Because in the world, what do they paint marriage as? That's not a vision. No, you don't. You kidding me? You don't need that vision. Are you serious? It's horrible. You know, it's funny at work. I always mess with the guys. You know, they'll be complaining. Oh yeah, no, I know. Whew, marriage, man. And they're like, oh, I know it. I'm like, ain't it great? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm happily married. They're like, you're happy? I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. I got 3 kids. It's a blast. Are you kidding me? Like, why? Probably because I work at it a little bit. Right? And I'm going to be honest, I'm not the hardest worker in that area. Right? That's why Brother Lou brought in the married couples class. It's for me. Right? But here's the thing. It's work. Guys, we have a vision. Before we get married, what's the vision? To get married, to get the girl, right? And that's how it is. We love them, we want to marry them, and then what happens as soon as we're done? We marry them. That's it. Oh man, aren't you pretty? There you go. Right? Set her on the shelf, and you walk over. That's a lazy boy, and that's the TV. Coffee. Right? Not black, cream and sugar. Right? Right? And what happens? We lose the vision. I'm being funny, but we lose the vision. Now I get to pick on the guys. I can't pick on the girls. It's not proper. But we lose, that's just an example of losing the vision. See, not only is it important to have a vision, right? But you don't just have one. If Pastor Lou had one vision, none of us would be here. Just like in a marriage, when you do get married, and guys, I'm talking to you because it's the primary role. It's your role. But you have to work at it. Right? You don't just set the vision of setting the goal or the vision of getting married, get married, and then nothing. You got to do something. Right? You got to move. Okay, how am I going to make this better? Right? My wife and I decided, she decided date night. I get to go. Right? Right? We decided little things, you know, like when she really needs to talk to me, and we got this from couples class, was have a cup of coffee and sit down, because I move quick all over. And then if I sit down on the couch, don't even bother talking to me. Sit me on a hard surface at the kitchen table and you can talk to me. You sat me on the couch and I'm like, it's a good movie, right? Right? The thing is, you got to have a vision. You got to know where you're going. How am I raising my kids? Do you have a vision for them? That is so important. You know, I've never understood the movement where the ladies want to get out of the home and work to be equal with the men. I've never understood that. Do you know how brainless my job is? It is brainless. I go into refineries and power plants and refit them. I'm in the thermal trades, right? I don't think, I just work, right? Bob, when you were a bricklayer, did you think a lot about work anyway? No. You think about everything else, right? And then this is how our world got so messed up, because our vision was wrong. My wife raises the next generation of leaders for the United States of America. Actually, reverse that. She raises the next leaders for Old Time Baptist Church and the United States of America. What more of an important role would you want? I guarantee it. Don't give it to me, right? My kids, at 7 months, 3 and 5, I told them, I says, you better hope there's no black market around here, because I'd sell you all, you know? But I'll tell you what, she's great at it. Why? Why? Because she was designed for it. That's her vision. Her vision is to raise her children to the best way she can, to God's honor and glory. Where are we going with our kids? Are we raising them right? Do we have the right vision? How am I using my money in my job? You know, I used to have some improper thinking on money, and I've recently been studying it out and changing a lot of things. And it used to be, if I could afford the payments, I'd buy it. Guys, that's not affording it. That's not affording it. That's buying something I can't afford. Right? And now I'm being transparent here. I'm digging my way out of that, slowly but surely, right? But it cost me a lot. I started adding up the interest I pay on those things. And I'm like, what am I doing? But how does that limit us in God's vision for us? How is having all those payments and all that, you know, and you're I've been called when you love stuff, materialistic, right? No, having payments is materialistic. I know I'm hitting hard right now, but that's you're spending money you don't have, right? And what does the Bible say about that? It says, be a debtor to no man. Do we have the right vision in our money? Is it a godly vision? Do I have any goals in my own life? Do you even have a vision? Do you know where you're going? Or are you just floating? You know, there's that saying, any dead fish can float downstream, but it takes a live one to swim up it. You know, that's not living. Floating isn't living. Floating isn't living. Swimming is. And God designed you to swim. And He said it. Without a vision, the people perish. If you're swimming, you know where you're going. You got general direction. Kind of have a destination figured out where you want to go. If you're just floating, you know where you're going? No. But what does the Bible say? The Bible says that you'll perish. Let's look at the payment for not having one. Again, Numbers 14:23. Am I the right one? No. I'm in the wrong one. That's okay.
I don't have it, Jess. 23, 24.
Yeah, it's not the one I wanted. Well, basically, this is about the children of Israel, right? And the spies go into Canaan, and they're going to spy out. They're going to spy out the land of Canaan, right? Now, what was the vision from God for them? Where were they supposed to go? They were supposed to go into Canaan, right? So they went into Canaan. Now, what ended up happening? They came back. The spies came back, and they had a report. They had their group meeting, group huddle with Moses, and they said no. Right? What did they get their eyes on? Circumstance. What did they take their eyes off of? The vision. Right? Besides two, Caleb and Joshua. They're the only two. And they pleaded with them that, what do you mean? The Lord's on our side. It's done. It's in the bag. The vision's set, man. He already said we have it. We just got to go get it. What do I care if there's a giant in the way? He's only a circumstance. Who cares about a circumstance when you have the vision? For a little bit of temporary pain, people could change their lives and change the lives of others and change this church. But because sometimes the circumstances hurt a little bit, they're so fast to give up the vision. They're so fast. And it hurts. And you can see it. Someone's on fire, someone's working hard, and then they get stabbed in the back. And instead of looking at it as the circumstance and pressing on for the vision, they quit. For what? They could have had so much more honor. They could have gave God so much more glory. And they quit because of a circumstantial situation. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Well, what happens? What happens to the children of Israel? The Lord pretty much flips out. If you could ever say the Lord had a temper tantrum, it'd be right here. Because he says he was going to pulverize them. He's just going to take them out. And Moses just said, Lord, please. He pleaded with God. He said, but if you destroy them, then the Egyptians won't believe there is a God powerful enough to bring them into the land. Right? Now, obviously the Lord knew it was going to happen. But I think that's pretty funny that, he changed the mind of God. I thought that was, it cracked me up when I was reading it. If you could imagine that. No, Lord, no. You don't want to kill all them. Hold on, please. Hold on. All the evil guys, they're going to see you do it. I'm just saying. I mean, you're going to do what you got to do, but they're going to see it. And then they're going to be like, yeah, the Lord took them out of Egypt and pulverized them. That's not a really good God. I'm just saying. Right? Right? And the Lord says, all right, sure. But here's the thing. You're going to wander. And everybody over the age of from 20 and above is going to die out there. Can you imagine that? Here's the thing, guys. I want you to think of it. They traded a battle with Canaan. I'll walk next to that speaker. It's going to hiss at me. They traded a battle with Canaan in the promised land, flowing with milk and honey, for 40 years in a desert. Isn't that amazing? Here's what I'm getting at. The vision was beautiful, wasn't it? It was so sweet. It was awesome. But not having the vision was death. And it was slow, and it was agonizing. It wasn't nice. Could you imagine that? And you know what? We've all met the people, right? Wish I woulda, I coulda, I never did, and now I regret. Because they were so fast to give up what God had given them, the vision that He had for their life, and it wasn't worth it. Yeah. That pain hurts. I mean, it's comfortable here. It's America, man. I don't have to grow. I don't have to work hard. I can just get a factory job and float through life. I mean, I can just come to church, right? I can just sit in a pew, absorb absorb my heat, absorb the heat in my area and see what the church always has to offer for me, right? Could you imagine what this group alone could do in a year? We could double in a year. If everybody, not even, we could double in a week. If everybody here just brought one person. You break these goals down, Pastor Lou, we talk about church growth and all that stuff, and it's funny, but it's one person. And I look back on that, and I think, man, boy, when you hit home, like that's not a big goal. You talk about doubling the church, everyone's like, double the church. And then you go, yeah, just bring one person. Just witness the one person, man. And it's really not that hard when you think about it, because the end vision is them burning. So put that in perspective. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit here and I can let them go to hell and never even invite them. At least give them the chance. At least give them the chance to say no. When I started looking at this and really digging into it for the few hours I had, I was like, boy, no wonder this is weighing on my heart so bad. I need to have the proper vision. I need to have the right personal goals in my life so that it makes it easier and I'm moldable. I'm easier moldable. Whatever. I am more easily molded, right? As you can tell, I'm not the pastor. Pastor Lou is the wonderful orator that we have here. I stumble over my words a lot. Caleb, though, this is what I thought was pretty cool. Caleb and Joshua, even though they were part of that, they kept the vision, didn't they? And what was amazing was 40 years later, they walked into Canaan. And the Bible just doesn't say that they walked into there. If you look in verse 24, but my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and he hath followed me fully, him I will bring into the land whereinto he went, and his seed shall possess it. Them other ones that didn't say anything, them other people didn't say anything about their seed possessing it, did it? I mean, there's some, their sons and daughters did go into it, but Caleb says that, like the Lord said, they're gonna possess it. It's gonna be theirs. Again, what's the benefit for keeping the vision? Philippians chapter 3. And Paul's one of my favorite people in the Bible, because if you look through what he's been through, and we've all heard it, where he was shipwrecked, he was beaten, he was whipped, he was imprisoned, he spent days out at sea, not in a ship, but floating, because he was shipwrecked, right? He was hungry, he was freezing cold, he was naked and afraid, right? Circumstances. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that if you have the vision in today's time, most likely, you're not gonna be beaten, whipped, shipwrecked, starved, chained, hanged, anything else you can rhyme with it, right? Most likely you're not. But here's the thing. We don't have those circumstances, and we can get barely anything done. Why? Is it because we don't have the right vision? We know Pastor Lou has a vision. He works it every week. But do we have a personal vision that is in support with the churches? See, you know how you're on the right track? Is if your goals, dreams, and visions line up with the pastor's. In other words, if you're leaving to go to Taiwan to chase some career, it may not be a proper vision. It may be. I don't know. But you should probably align it with pastors. Right? Are we doing our own things, is what I'm getting at. Are we doing our own things, or are we aligning ourselves with the goals of the church so that we're as one? And Paul talks about that. But let's look in Philippians 3, in verse 13, Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind me, and reaching forth unto those things which are before me. Do you remember the beatings, the chain, the whippings, the imprisonment, shipwrecks? That's what he's saying. He's saying, I'm not saying I've made it yet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying I'm not paying attention to those things in the past. Look at verse 14. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. In Christ Jesus. You know what he just said? He just said his vision. That's what he said. I am pressing toward the mark of the high calling. In other words, I don't need those. That's just circumstance. That's all that is. It's only circumstance. It's not going to do anything. It may hurt, but it's not going to hurt forever. It may be painful, but it's not going to hurt forever. That brother, he may have scorned me. He may have stabbed me in the back. He may have ripped me off or something, but you know what? That's not forever. That's not forever because I have this. And I know where it's going. I know where I'm going. You see the difference in attitude? And you can always see somebody that doesn't have a vision because they dwell 100 years ago. Well, so-and-so. Can you believe back 1964 when that person said that to me? Right? They never get over it. They always harbor the hate. They harbor the anger of past circumstance because it took away a vision. Look in verse 15 and 16. I like this one too. Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded, and if in anything ye be otherwise minded, God shall reveal even this unto you. Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule, let us mind the same thing. What he's saying is, be of one mind. The church's vision to save souls should be yours. Get involved. Find out where you can be a help. If you already are a help, find out where you're going. Talk with your pastor. Talk with the pastoral staff. Sit down and figure out goals where you want your class to be, where you want your ministry to be. How can we make this better? I love camp meeting, and we've just started something new. Well, I don't know if it's new. I'm new to staff, so I don't know if they've always done this, but we've had Brother John Bittner walking around, and he had a pencil and a pen, and if something came up where we can improve, we were going to do it. That's called planning, and that helps with helping a vision. We're making it better. Find out where you could be a help. Get a vision if you don't have one. Again, talk to your pastor. Talk to Pastor Lou. I am more than sure he would love. He'd be tickled pink. You'd actually see Brother Lou blush. If you sat down and said, Brother Lou, I need a vision. He'd be like, who are you? Well, where am I going? I need to set some goals. And Brother Lou's good with finances, let me tell you. I know, because I work with him in the church finances. And he has my head spinning so many times. Right? I need some work in my finances. I don't think that they're glorifying to God right now. I don't think I'm doing the right thing. And you know what? While we're talking about that, where do I need to fit in to the vision of the church? So that we can all be of one mind and one accord. Paul says to be together. Paul says to have unity. And here's what's cool. You know why I think he said that? Is because he knew where he was going. If you have a leader who knows where they're going, it's really easy to rally behind them, isn't it? We have a leader who knows where he's going. And I love that about Pastor Lou. Our church is a very rare church. It really is. The fact that we handle so many building projects in a short time and then we do them ourselves is very, very rare. And you know what? I love it. I love the fact that Pastor Lou has a vision, and it's constantly getting changed and getting torn down and built better and bigger, right? And it's just for Christ. We can do this. We can do this. Come on, guys, we can do this. We can fill this place up. We can soul win. We can be a better representative for Christ. We can do so much more if we adopt a vision, if we set some personal goals, and if we can figure out how to be a help in ministry. All right, let's pray. Lord, I want to thank you for this day, and I want to thank you for Pastor Lou allowing me to come and to share this message with these guys, Lord. And Lord, I hope it made sense to him, Lord. I bared my heart out to him, Lord, about setting a vision and setting a goal for you, dear God. And Lord, I just pray that you take this message and let it honor you. And Lord, I pray that you just bless the song and the invitation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Page 153. All to Jesus I surrender, all to him I freely give. I will ever love and trust him, in his presence daily live. I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all to Jesus I surrender, humbly at his feet I bow. Worldly pleasures all forsaken, take me, Jesus, take me now. I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all to Jesus I surrender, make me Savior wholly thine. Let me feel the Holy Spirit, truly know that thou art mine. I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all to Jesus I surrender. Lord, I give myself to thee. Fill me with thy love and power. Let thy blessing fall on me. I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all.
That you brought to my table, Lord, to come before these people and pray. And I pray that you just keep Brother Lou and those other guys in your care, dear God, as they're in New York City, working on that building, dear God. Lord, make their work run good and help them to get done the max amount they can. Lord, I pray for our church that you just give us a vision of souls, and that you help us to just trust our pastor and our leader, and to unify behind him with all we have. In Jesus' name, amen. You're dismissed.